I just want to elaborate a little bit more on a video that I made a month or so ago about Tommy Robinson, because it's now only about 2 weeks when he goes on trial again on the 4th of July. I think the supporters, such as me, and probably you watching this too, need to give ourselves a bit of a reality check, because it is very, very likely that they will send him to prison. I explained a lot of this on the previous video, which I'll put a link to in the description box, if you've not already seen it, that is. But we need to look at why now that this has come about in the way it has, because clearly what's been going on over the past year is that when they let him out in around July of last year, they only let him out because they had no choice, because the judge realised that he'd fucked up and that he'd sent him to prison unlawfully. So there was really no choice but to let him go. Now, for the offence that he was jailed for, of course, the 2 months that he spent in prison would have been punishment enough for anybody for a piss-pot offence like that. But what they've been doing clearly over this past year is that they've been making a watertight case against him. They've been colluding with each other, the establishment, the Attorney General, probably the judge as well, is that they're going to make sure this time that no such mistakes are made, rather than just let it drop. So they have to make a watertight case that he can't wriggle out of this time, which is why there was such a delay in it coming around. I think the timing was possibly coincidental, the fact that he was told just a week after releasing Panodrama. And I know that it kind of looked a little bit suspicious, but I do think that that was probably coincidental, because at that point is when they decided that the case that they'd got against him, or that they were going to make against him, was probably watertight. Now, with a lot of, well, probably with most court cases, the whole point of a court case really is to serve justice. Now, when somebody is alleged to have committed a crime, they're charged, they go to court if the Crown prosecution deems it to be either winnable or in the public interest. And then when you go to court, you get a jury where, a prosecution and a defence, where the prosecution outlines their case and their evidence, the defence outlines their case and evidence. And of course the evidence is tested through cross-examination, and the jury watches these proceedings and decides on whether this person's guilty or not based on the evidence that is provided in court. Now, the juries, of course, are told that they have to put any personal feelings aside, and they're chosen on that basis. But, of course, we know that Tommy isn't getting a jury, which itself is suspicious. Just the judge, very, very suspicious indeed. So, what we're seeing is that the object of the exercise in this case is not to see justice done. Because, to be quite honest, justice has been done, and more, when he served time last year. What the object of the exercise here is to send him to prison, to shut him up. And this just shows the corruption that we're having to go through in this country. They care not about the fact that he's a father with 3 children. It's quite often that you'll see cases where people are let off prison for quite serious offences at times because they've got children. But they're not going to do that in this case, because when the object of the exercise is to send him to jail, then I'm afraid that any other outcome is extremely unlikely. The only thing that can save him is if his solicitor has got an ace up his sleeve. Now, the solicitor in question here, it turns out, is a specialist in war crimes. Okay? So I don't think this guy's your average solicitor, but he had to go through about 7 or 8 different solicitors just to get one that was going to take on his case. So that shows the bias against him, really. But the point is that what we have to remember is that when the object of the exercise is to send him to prison, that is what's going to happen. That they have got a case against him, which is probably what's and they're doing this in order to shut him down. So I'm afraid we've got to pinch ourselves here and to realise that this is going to be the likely outcome. It's not really a question of whether he goes to jail. It's more a question of how long for. And obviously they're going to give him the maximum sentence possible. Part of his defence is going to show that there are countless other reporters across the country who have gone to people going for sentences and said, how do you feel about your verdict, sir? Things like that. You know, you see it all the time. And even Lucy Manning from the fake news BBC actually presumed his guilt the last time they were there by telling him that he prejudiced the trial. Now, of course, she clearly didn't do her job because she would have been able to find out that that wasn't the case. But anyhow, you can find out that. You've probably already seen that part of it already, so I won't go into that. But now, what we need to do now is I need to put out this plea. So if certain people are watching this and I name names, Danny Tomo, if you're watching this, this movement is going to need a new figurehead. You've got what it takes, sir, to be that new figurehead. You've done a tremendous job in organising Tommy's rallies and events with your hired screen. And on the campaign trail for the MEP elections, a sterling job, sir. Please step up to the plate if you can and continue Tommy's work. Tommy's work must continue. James Goddard, if you're watching this, please band together with Danny. The two of you can be a formidable force. There are other figureheads out there who can do this job. Please get together with them. So, I'm sorry to say that I am going to end this on a sombre note because it looks like that he's got 2 weeks left to continue what he does. And then he's going to prison. And then we don't know what's going to happen then because there is no doubt that whatever sentence that they give him is a death sentence. We all know that. So, let's try and keep our chin up, but we need to be realistic. My heart goes out to every one of you who follows Tommy. God be with you all. Till next time, easy.